Story, present.
John McCoy, present. Robert Warner, present.
Tommy present.
Okay, thank you all for being here tonight, for your concern with your town. We hope that we're very informative for you tonight and that you see the progress that we're making with our town. And again, I'm excited to be here tonight. I think we're doing some great things, but we do, ask you, we will at some point here in a little bit, to ask for your participation. And then what we'll probably do is I'm going to probably show some, do a little quick PowerPoint presentation to show our budget, what was accepted before we came into office and where we're at and what we're proposing tonight. So, but there's one item I have on the agenda that we need to approve. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and I think Johnny Lee's been working with them on our ponds we've got out here. They've got a program that I think is very, very neat for a lot of our children and even adults that love to fish or want to have something for their people to do on an afternoon. And the cost is relatively cheap. I think we will pay for an initial stocking of channel catfish, 200 pounds, plus they will match and they will pay for rainbow trout that are that big, and they will keep that pond stocked twice a year. And they do put some limitations on how many you can keep with that and so forth. But it's really a neat program, and I think it's something that we should participate in. And I'm going to ask the board, if anybody's got any questions about that, now's the time, because I would like to have a resolution passed authorizing me to sign that contract with the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to participate in that program. And I'll take any questions at this time. No questions?
Yeah, Mayor, I have a quick question.
Sure.
What is the cost to the city?
Initial stocking of $700 from there on out every year. The Wildlife and Fisheries will provide that stocking at no cost.
And like I can go fishing too?
Absolutely.
I'm not a child.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotta have a license.
Yes, yeah, you have to have a license.
Okay.
Gotta have a license.
But I think it's a great thing. And also, once a year, they're going to come, they're going to make it a big event. They're going to bring booths and things of that nature and have, things for the kids. It'll be a fun day that, it'll be a real nice event. And what else am I leaving off
Well,
of?
they're gonna start it more than once a year.
Yeah, twice a year.
Yeah, kind of as needed, And I think they're wanting to do the date, Mayor, May the 13th, to have the opening deal, where we're gonna invite children, that wildlife people will be here to instruct you how to tie hooks, how to get them out of trees too, in my case, I guess, but just a good day for the children and the adults as well.
Can I have a motion that we, resolution for me, authorize me to sign this contract? Motion made by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman McCoy, all in favor? Okay. Okay, I'd kind of like to set the table for our meeting tonight. I'm going to be very brief, and then I'm going to make a presentation. Many people know that when we came into office, it wasn't much of a transition, and we hit the ground running on July 1st, basically. And we, our accountant, Deborah came to work in May, and y'all, and to be honest with you, it was a pretty big task that she undertook. And we're dealing with it every day, and we're making a lot of progress. I'm really excited with where we are in this. And I think it's something that y'all will be proud of. And I know there's going to be discussion tonight. And one of the things I do want to remind everybody that we are, partners, neighbors in this endeavor, and we want to make sure that we all, use our most professionalism we can as we deal with some of these things. One of the things is our town, that we are, unlike a business that's a regular private business, you keep up with how healthy you are by your net worth. Your assets and your liabilities, it establishes what your net worth is, and so forth. Governmental accounting is different. They go by fund balances, and they call it a change in position, is how they determine, for example, whether or not your town is making progress or whether you might be doing something and headed in the wrong direction. The change in our net position and net position in 2015 was $4,202,029 to the bad. That was not good. And the previous, when we got a draft audit, which I want to tell you that, I talked with the legislative audit, Silas Simmons had produced them their audit findings, and I talked with them, they said within 30 days, they should have that approved and make any adjustments, and then it'll be let out to the public, so. But anyway, this past year, that went down another 739,000, right, 740,000. So, and also when we're talking tonight, there's two ways that the town takes in money, and that's through government. The governmental aspect of it is our fines and taxes, anything like that that the town does that we receive from the government. Our business type activities, or when we sell our utilities, we get involved in business and actually, sell something. We provide a service and we get compensated for it. So all these things work together and we come up with a total, okay? And tonight, I think and I'm gonna show you real quick, Bobby had turned on, I'm gonna show you where our current budget was adopted on June the 30th before we came into office, and if he will put the budget that was adopted on June the 30th. I know a lot of you can't see that, but one of the things I want to, I'm gonna zoom it up, okay. But you'll see, what you'll see is right here is your general fund monies that you make, your license permit, your taxes you receive. Intergovernmental money is money you might receive from another governmental agency, and your charges for services, and then you have other income. That's your income. And then you have your special revenue, which is right here. That's your funds. That's your special revenue funds, like sales tax. That sales tax is just right at $3 million. This is things that was probably actual for last year that was adopted for this budget. Okay, we're operating right now under this budget. That's what we're operating under. The reason why we've taken so long to come up with the budget that we're presenting tonight to be amended is because we didn't have any historical data on what to present. So after the first almost 6 months had transpired, what we wanted to do was see with the cuts and stuff that we made, we wanted to see how is that going to play out on the total budget. When you first come in, we had a liability, the town did, of $1.5 million in unpaid vendors. There was payments that were coming up that we were required to pay on projects, and just a lot of things that we walked into that we were blindsided by. But I'm proud to say tonight that we only borrowed $2 million of the $3.5 that we asked for. And we feel, and today I went to the bond commission, we got approval, and we reducing that line of credit from 3.5 to 2.5. We haven't had to borrow any more on the 2, and we're going to make a $200,000 payment in March and renew it. And that's all been approved. And that happened this morning in Baton Rouge. So we're making a lot of progress, and we're really excited about that. So anyway, but this is the budget you're looking at. Revenues, $32 million, you see that there. But your expenses from the previous year was $37 million. That's why you see that down here on the change in net position, you'll see a loss of right at $5 million. And that's the budget we're operating under right now. Any questions on the old budget? I'll be glad to. Now, when you see operating transfers, when you're dealing with fund accounting, you got, for example, we know that the general fund doesn't, you have to take money from different funds to cover different, expenses, because the money in a certain fund, if it comes out of a certain fund, you're able to get it out of another. So the transfers, that's why they balance. Okay? All that is a balancing of the funds. So that really, this figure is not really important for us today. But you see what your change in that position was. Okay? We have total revenues of 32.3 and expenses of 37. That's what really hit us cash crunch when we took over. Now, if nobody's got a question on that, I'm going to ask if we could, oh, never mind. this is what we're proposing. This is now, we sat down and this is some hard work with it, because you'll see we almost flip-flop what our income's gonna be and our expenses. If you can't see that, that's 36 million on revenue and 33 million on expenditure. So basically what they're saying from the expenses that we had the previous year, we're gonna be less, and these expenses include these figures right here. You see capital outlay? Those numbers weren't in there as an expense the previous year. So in essence, we're being able to do our projects and invest with all the things we're doing. You know, we built a $700,000 parking lot that was, you know, that we were under agreement to build. We had to write a check for that. And we survived all those things, and this is what we're presenting. Now we feel like the change in net position is going to go to that. Now, in that is money that you'll see up here on the capital fund. These funds are grant participation. You know, we have a match grant. Some of it's 100%, some of it's 60-40, some of it's 80-20. But the big majority of that's the one that's being the port. We got a while to hear if anybody's got any questions on that. But anyway, but this is the budget we're going to present tonight. And there's going to be a lot, if anybody has questions, I will do that. But let me explain to you why it's important. The alderman has a responsibility. We recommend a budget that says the mayor's got to recommend it. And that's why I got with all the department heads, we worked. We did a line item on every department. Went down it, what was being spent. You know, we worked very hard. It's a promise. It's been many hours and a lot of thought, sweat, blood, and tears, if you want to call it that. But I cannot operate the town without an approved budget. I've got one now, and it was the one that guy there. That's the budget we're operating under. That's the one we're recommending. And that will, I've got it now, I've got it cut down. This is an operating budget. That gives me the authority to, I'm the one that's the signer for the municipality. I can write checks to pay our utility bill. I can write our payroll checks. I can't spend money that's not in that budget. Does that make sense? I've got it where we're operating. Now, if something extraordinary comes up where I've got to, hey, I need a garbage truck, I need a fire truck, guess what I got to do now? I got to go to them to get approved. And that's the intent of it. That keeps me from just going, hey, I'll do what I want to. But that's the way it should operate. Now, that's how I feel. But this is an operating budget. We got the money in there to complete our projects and also improve our net position for our town.
Bud, could you briefly explain the source of the special revenue fund and exactly what it is?
Yeah, I brought that. That's, of course, the top on the special revenue fund is taxes. That's sales tax. The fines and forfeits, your police department and city court. Intergovernmental is money for your city courts. Charges for services is strictly dealing with, that's LEPA and Deborah, that's also, is that? Yeah, that's our LEPA revenues. Because we do get a revenue from it as well. And the other is the hydro, the 12 million. And you'll see that we have 12 million. The previous was, and I'm going to explain something here. The previous year was 13.3. Well, you might ask, well, why did you go down? Well, you know why? Because previous year we were buying our power for $175 kilowatt. This year, that contract, we're buying for $150. So I was going to say it's money. And with all these things happening and coming to place, I know you won't lower utility bills, and I want you to have them. I won't lower. I promise the people that. But this is going to be a process. It's going to take some time. We're working hard to get there, and I think this is a great start. I really do.
Buzz, is it okay, or do you want us to wait on comments later?
You're welcome
It's a
to
quick
come.
comment, real
Sure.
quick. Rex and I have a house in Baton Rouge. I was born and raised here, went away to college, gone a whole lot of years, taught in the university setting for a whole bunch of years, remarried a couple of years ago to Rex, who was an accountant for Exxon for 35 years, so budgets are much more his language than mine. Mine is more loyalty to this town, and the fact that I graduated from the school system, and, you know, it was part of developing who I am. But I will tell you, it has just, it's really, really offensive to me, moving back here, loving this place, finally wanting to be involved in what's going on here, because when we got married, we just bought an RV and started traveling and retired, is what we've been playing, is what we've been doing. I do want to be involved now, but it's offensive to me that we have a home in Baton Rouge that's twice as big as our little bitty house on Simonton, and we pay half the utilities in Baton Rouge. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow what you're saying.
Tiny house
I
here,
agree.
large
Utilities are
house
high.
there, utilities here twice as much as they are in Baton Rouge, and I'm just having a real hard time taking this in.
Well, we all are, kind of, yeah, and look.
And
this
see,
is-
I'm sure I've missed, I'm not trying to, you know,
And look,
debate that y'all have
well,
worked really
I-
hard on it, I just don't get it.
That's the point well taken, and that's something we're having to deal with.
What is the plan?
We're 7 months in, and I've heard somebody say, you gotta eat the elephant one bite at a time. You can't, I mean, we're talking about 24, well, please, we're dealing with years of overspending.
I
We've
realize
got-
that, yeah.
And you got to do that. Now, if we went in and cut these rates drastically, well, then you don't have the monies to finish what you started where we're at, then you might have to go to a private pickup, once a week pickup. We start cutting services, you know.
Do you have like a time frame in mind of when this will,
We deal with
Change
it
a lot.
every day, all day, working to, we have a goal, we do. I have a goal personally in my head of where I want to see us go on our utilities. I do, I promise you, and it's way cheaper than what it is now. But again, when
well,
you,
forgive me for my lack of knowledge, but.
no, I'm
I
not,
just-
that's good, I'm glad you brought that point up. When I campaigned, I was showing just around our surrounding area how much higher we were than just our surrounding, that's a great point. I agree with you. That's part of why I'm standing here today, because of that. And I'll be honest with you, we pay higher rates than anybody, but buy it wholesale cheaper. That's unacceptable. But it's going to take time. I just want the public to understand.
It's like that elephant you're talking about, little
You
by
can't,
little.
you can't, that's like, for example, I made some tough cuts. I had to lay off some people when I took office. Those cuts, although, I'm gonna say, you know, we had a $1.5 million checks we need to write to vendors, we didn't have the money to write them. And even though I made those cuts, that wasn't gonna write those checks for those people. That's gonna be a gradual process as we manage through this to get there to where we can handle it. And we're doing it to where we can still provide our services to our town and give them to them, you know, and do the work that we're supposed to do.
I want to ask
Good
the
point.
question a little bit more succinctly. Do you have like a goal of within 5 years, or a goal of, you see what I'm saying?
I see what
A
you're saying.
timeline, is there a timeline somewhere?
My goal is as soon as possible, and then what that's gonna be, there's some more things happening, a bigger dynamic working here, that we're gonna have to deal with, and I hope within the next month or two, there's gonna be some things, this whole thing is gonna be evolving. I don't think it's any secret, y'all seeing Project Blue. There's gonna be some expense deal in that, but we're talking about some jobs here that's gonna be game changer. And so, those things are new to us, that I'm excited, I really am. Now, and I agree. I don't like it, and I'm gonna do everything I can, but it's gonna take time. It's only been 7 months again.
Coach, can I say something?
Sure.
And I haven't given this a lot of thought, so it's gonna come out jumbled maybe.
Well, I think mine came out jumbled, but my
Well-
heart was in it anyway.
What I'd like to say is that, and we've talked about this, we've had meetings about it, we do have the goal of reducing, we know they're high, we know they're the highest that you can find. We had to borrow money to pay bills that wasn't money to pay.
Yeah, I knew that.
We have obligations to that, to projects that were already in place, which are good things, but we gotta pay these things. And we have to have revenue to do that. We can't just let that go away.
I'd like to, I started, and it started to question, we gotta go, we gotta actually do
I'll
legal to
talk
go
to you
into a
after.
public
Okay.
comment.
Thank you for
Public-
taking that time.
That's fine, I'm sorry. You know, I'm basically through with, I just hope now, if we have questions, I'll start after, but we will go into an official public hearing, if we have a motion to do that.
Oh.
I make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now open to public.
So I stand back there.
I think they're ready for that, right?
You got me off task, yeah.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. That's all right. Any more questions? And also, look, you can ask me, you can ask anybody. We have department heads here. We have Police Chief Merrill here. We have different ones. We have even the alderman here if you have a question. Now, I'm reserved in for them to make their comments and so forth. The only other thing that I will say, regardless of what their vote is tonight, whether it's yes or no, don't think I'm upset or not, because there's some things that each one of them have different little things in there that they don't like, and that's fine. But a no vote to this budget, the one we're presenting, is to leave us operating under the old one. And having said that, that's what we'll be operating under, again. And they'll have time to support yes or no, and that's fine. And we'll work together to make any corrections, to do the best we can. So, more public comment.
Let me have a public comment. There's a lot of pointing back to the last administration and what you found and what we have to do. I respect all that to a point. We can agree to disagree on the numbers aspect of it. And for those of you that are here, we appreciate you coming. But honestly, we represent the nameless and faceless people, those people who you don't see in these meetings, those people who didn't just come back and they're shocked at their utility bill. There's some people that's been living here that have shown me utility bills that are $100 more than it was a month before, and it was higher the month before. So for everybody that's not here, that's not speaking, that does not have an opinion in this room tonight, my vote will be contingent upon their future based on this budget too. Again, I'll say, I appreciate you coming and we respect what you say. But there's a lot of Vidalia not in this room. And there's a lot of time they're discounted. Those nameless and faceless people who wait on that check and it's eaten up by tremendous utility bills. I've seen $500 and $600 utility bills and somebody paying that out of an $800 check. I don't know that that's the case in this room, but I represent those people. And saying that the mayor won't be mad, that's okay if he is. We've already made it, we've established the fact that we can not agree on everything. And the amount of work that they put on this budget, that he put on this budget, I can't take away from that. But I personally think there's some things that you got to look at for the people who aren't in this room, who aren't here tonight. And again now, that's what we represent too. We represent y'all and them too. So we can move forward from there.
Can I make a comment? One of the things that we've done, because I promise you, that hurts my heart when people come in today. And there's several of those stories that Alderman McCoy is related to that I deal with every day, and our department deals with. When that happens, they call us. We pull their readings, and they look at normally it's usage. Right now, the gas usage is up because it was cold in January. We had the cold spells, and the gas usage went from triple or whatever. If somebody isn't happy with it, we send somebody to go double check their meter, talk to the people, and normally they find For example, they recently had somebody do that, didn't even go to the house. They said, I don't have nothing there. And they went in there and we discovered their hot water heater was leaking internally, and it constantly was using gas and keeping her, and it was not the fault of the town, and that's unfortunate. But where do we go to where if they used it, at what point you can't just take public funds and say, we'll write it off. That's not your problem. We'll eat that money. But we had to buy it because, and people have houses that aren't insulated. I would like to see us, Alderman McCoy, these people who have these houses that's off the ground, poorly, no insulation, and they're elderly, they run their units 24/7, and they're hot, and they're using it. That's what needs to be addressed.
That wasn't the conversation during the campaign.
Hmm?
That wasn't your conversation during the campaign. Your campaign was you gonna lower the utility.
And we are.
I'd like to make a comment. I have 2 utility bills in town. And I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm almost tired of hearing how it's the fault of the customer, the usage and everything else, the poor insulation. The residents of Vidalia have been promised not only by you, but by every previous administration that the utility bills are gonna go down. And to say we're trying to get there, we have a plan in place. The way to do it, in my opinion, is to cut the utility rates and then operate our town based on those revenues. To continue to pass the blame year after year on poor insulation and high usage and all of these things, the time of that is over. We have got to take a stand and say, we are going to be the administration that lowers those rates, and then we are going to learn how to operate this town in the budget that provides. Period. That is step 1, in my opinion.
Hey, we're all on the same team. We might have a difference of opinion how quick you're gonna get there. Again, you're talking about a year at a time. We're still talking about 7 months. Still talking, keep that in mind.
I'm just talking about poor people.
Well, how many employees does the city have now?
What's the latest count today?
166. 166.
156.
166.
166.
I'm a returnee to Vidalia myself. I grew up in Vidalia and went to college in Monroe and stayed there for almost 50 years. And I've been back about 6 years, but I'm just set off guard many times by how large the budget is for a population that's smaller than when I graduated from high school. This town has been in decline population-wise every year since 1980s, and several years back to 1960. And I'm just shocked that a town of this population has a budget as large as it has. And I'm very thankful for the many services that we take for granted, particularly the garbage pickup twice a week. But I'm believing that there might be some possibilities of cuts there, and let's have one pickup.
Can I say, we're not through yet. Y'all, again, we're not through making cuts. We're not done. Please don't think that, hey, this is, the equilibrium point that we want to be at. It's not. So please keep that in mind, that we're not through doing our work.
My comment to that is we're not through done yet. This is what I'm getting from the employees of the city. In fact, the fire department, you can say whether they did or they didn't, but were asked to cut their budget. Idea was cut their EMT pay. Cut their EMT pay possible, that's a possible cut. I'm gonna tell you now, I work hours. Johnny, did we work hours
Yes, sir.
or more than hours?
More than hours.
More than hours, towards a possibility to cut our budget. That was my department. I worked diligently to provide the best fire protection, not to raise your fire code up to where your insurance would go up, and especially the poor people, like Tron's talking about, or the industries or the businesses, middle class like me wouldn't be affected much. Am I correct, Bo? Did I ask you about that?
You did.
And you told me who would it affect the most?
Unfortunately, the poor people.
Yeah. So if we let that fire rate go up, they're affected more than anybody else. Again, trying to talk about the poor people. But my other concern more than anything else is in the city of Vidalia, and I got a lot of employees here right now. We're talking about more cuts. We're talking about more cuts. Those 3 MTs, believe it or not, and you can say whether you believe that or not, Johnny, how many firemen left after I asked you to cut their EMT pay?
3 left.
Do you think there was any reason they left other than that, or did they have other reasons that, what caused them to think about leaving?
All the talk about cutbacks and layoffs perhaps, or, just cutbacks.
Do you know how much money we had invested in those people, Johnny? To be able to get those people trained to where we could keep them instead of investing what we need to in them, or instead of taking back their pay.
17 weeks for training for a firefighter and EMT together.
Do you know the approximate cost, how much that cost to the citizens of the day?
No, sir, not right off my head, I don't.
But you know what we did? We bit the bullet, didn't we, Johnny?
We did.
We said we can go another way and try to cut what we can cut to get to the budget to reduce services like Ray was talking about. Maybe cut employees, take another avenue to get where we need to be. So what do we do, Johnny? We agreed to do what?
The 3 that left, not replace them. And since we have those 3 not there, we got to maintain a certain amount of firefighters on duty each day.
To
So
do
instead
what?
of having 4 PIAL rating, that they come in and check if we have a fire call, they're gonna check our reports and see how many guys showed up for each scene, what fire equipment was used, and all of this, and if it's not there, you're not getting credit for it.
And who determines what rating? It's not insurance, is it? It's an independent organization that, what'd you say, PIAL?
PIAL,
That determines that rating.
that's correct.
And in my opinion, that's a necessity for the city of Vidalia, because what does a fire rating affect in Vidalia other than every 100% every business individual in Vidalia? A fire rating. We worked to get to that with past administration, Tron said, but we're there now, and the board voted to, past board voted to buy it, and some people ask me, why is that ladder truck still up in the deck? We just got it in December, by the way. $850 investment to past administration, again, put it in place to do what? Did y'all vote on it just to buy it, or was there a purpose for it? Do you, Tron?
We had plenty of conversation about the possibilities on what could happen pending buildings that would grow that we would grow that tall in the city.
And you bought it because it's got more water output?
Exactly.
It's got more capacity, and our fire rating is also done on what, Johnny, is based on what?
Square footage of buildings, the height of buildings, how
Water-
much water supply you
water
have
supply.
for the city itself, and how much fire equipment you got that can utilize that.
And how much can that truck put out in a minute,
1,500 gallons per minute.
per minute? So water supply is part of the fire rate for it. So we worked as a fire department to cut our budget. And we did, didn't we, Johnny?
Yes, sir.
I think we contributed to that budget cut. Because as we go through the year now, as we see your budget, what's gonna happen to it? Is it gonna continue to grow as some other departments, or is it gonna continue to decline?
And the way it is right there, it'll be declining.
That's what we're looking for. And Ray hit it on the head. Where else can you gain unless you cut something? I mean, and again, he's got a plan. He's right. And they worked hard and they worked diligently to establish this budget. But I think it all should be shared between everybody, not just certain departments. Let's look at it all. Now, these other aldermen had departments. I guess they did their, and I'm gonna trust they did their work just like I did. Not bragging on me, I'm bragging on him. He was able to work towards getting that cut and establishing that and still maintaining the services. When I ran, I promised nothing about utility rates. I had my doubts if we keep maintaining these services, are we going to? Because that's the price of living in Vidalia. Anybody can remember Hiram Copeland saying the greatest city from Arkansas to Baton Rouge, ain't nothing like us in the city, on the river. And that's because of one thing. You're willing to pay for those services. Well, the only way to cut them is to, not necessarily cut service, but think in a different box. And that's what Joe Buzzin is trying to do. He's saying, give me time. He's working towards that. But I think as departments, each department needs to do their part. Not saying they're not, but I have concerns as we move on into the budget. I'm gonna stop there, but I'm gonna bring up some other things when I get my time to discuss. But I appreciate that, Johnny, what you've done to help us get to that budget.
Can I just respond to something? Johnny, did I tell you to cut your budget? Did I come out and tell you to cut your budget?
No, you asked everyone if there was any way we could cut back.
Cut back on spending, unnecessary
You
spending.
asked each
Now,
department.
you said those people left for that reason. Was not one of those employees fired at y'all's direction?
That was the fourth one.
Hmm?
That was the fourth
That
one,
was
one that was
fourth one.
fired, yes.
Now, one of them was, they're trained, now here's something that I want to show, that, for example, we're paying all of our firemen EMT pay. They go through the training whether or not they're gonna be EMTs or not. All the firemen were required to be EMTs. Some people don't want to be an EMT where they have to maybe go do something that they're not qualified to do or feel like they want to do. They signed up to be firefighters. So, yeah, there's some things to look at still, but I didn't ask to cut, and those people, I don't think quit and went unless they went to a better job. Did the other person not go to be an EMT to be a more
One left for more pay for, he went to work at the helicopter service.
so
He was a paramedic, right?
Yes,
he went.
Highly trained.
So, what I'm saying is, they went for higher pay. They went for those things. And the only other thing I'm saying is because, number one, how many other municipalities our size have you called or visited to see how many firefighters and what their fire rate is? How many did you call?
They don't ever, Johnny, we discussed that, didn't we? There's no comparison in any way that you, in PIAL, that you can do that. You can say we can, Buzz, but I've talked to the fire chief who's been in this for years now. I'm going what his expertise is.
The guy that graded us come in and actually talked to the mayor and Mr. Bill, and they asked questions on that and asked if you could compare it to another city or town or whatever, and that's his answer to them, was you can't compare it to any other town because there's so many factors involved.
That was actually from the PIAL guy.
But there's studies out there, and that's something that we have not had the time to do, is go and do that and comprise our information to come up with a realistic thing, because some of these municipalities, they have people that have more population than us, cover more square miles as far as protection.
And they have a cooperative endeavor, like in
have-
Baton Rouge, where they got
they
their
have-
fire departments that are in
They might
place
have 5 to
that
10.
share in the
They
thing.
might have 5 to 10 firefighters.
We're happy with what we did, Buzz. We're happy. I'm not
Oh,
arguing
I
that
am
with
too,
you.
but
I'm not
saying-
arguing that. I'm just saying. And again, I want to make one more comment and I'm through. Firemen are the lowest paid people in Vidalia. Guess what their pay is per hour? Anybody got an idea? $10 an hour to $13 an hour. Lowest paid, they protect you. They saved a guy life the other day. They're EMT trained, most highly certified, qualified individuals in the city of Vidalia with more certifications, more training, and more regulations than any individual. Other than a lineman, some of them have it. Who else, Tron? Tell me who else.
My department got some.
Well, I say electrical, that's what I'm saying. The electrical department has a lot of certifications and all, but they're paid higher than
More than that.
$10 or $12.
Not just electrical,
Well, I'm saying all of them,
Gas,
those are gas, water,
water, sewer.
right, all
all of them are
those, that
trained,
department has
certified.
more they have certified, probably more,
All right.
but they make more money. I'm telling you, they make $10 to $13 an hour.
How much were their supplemental pay and all, does that?
It costs the city nothing, that comes from the state.
How much though? Does it?
I don't know. I mean, that doesn't cost the city nothing, that's coming from the state. I'm done for right now.
Who's over the police department?
Myself.
Okay. My husband and my son may lose their jobs tomorrow, I don't know. But I hope you look at their pay and their overtime and the hours that these guys put in. They deserve more. I don't care. They deserve more. We're losing some. John Dale will be leaving in a couple of weeks. I don't know if he's gonna be replaced. But we've got to have some security in this town is nothing, you know, is nothing. My husband, who picks up sticks, he does a good job, everybody loves him. But anyway, he makes the exact same thing as my son, who's a police officer. Don't get me wrong, don't cut our pay, but, you know, but that's just a crying shame. That he went through training, special training, and they put their lives on the line every day. Whether they're on the job or not, people know. And I just hope you really, really consider all this for them.
Absolutely.
Ms. Lee?
I want to just piggyback on what she said about the policemen, because my heart is very close to those firemen and those policemen who saved my life twice. And I went into, I went out there to non-compliant, so I always get in trouble. But not only have they saved me, they've come to the rescue of my mother, and twice a week, I have to get up very early in the morning. So I'm at the Sprint gas station, 4:45, 5 o'clock. I was accustomed to seeing the policemen there, checking on them, and as I traveled down the highway, I would see another one. Throughout the day, when I was back in Vidalia, you would see them constantly up and down the highway, coming down your side streets, coming down the street. And they sort of disappeared. I no longer see them in the morning. I have not seen them this year.
Amen.
And you know, I miss the visibility of the police. They don't come by the neighborhood up and down the street anymore. And they're not early in the mornings. You're out there by yourself. I feel like I'm out there by myself because I don't see them. Something has changed. I don't know if it's the impact of their budget. I don't know if they left for more money. But we like to see the police. We like to know that they're out there looking at us, and I'm not looking for them. Thank you.
Okay, well, I may get stuff right to me, but I've got several questions at Squad Police Department. You do not see them on the road like you used to. I've been told they want to put 50 miles a day on their cars. They're either parked in a parking lot somewhere, they're not patrolling the highway. But if they can put 50 miles a day, why do they take their cars home? And also, and I know there's a lot of probably First Baptist people in here, I've seen 2 incidents where they are stopping the traffic at the red light for the First Baptist people to come out on the highway. Why do we need that? They don't do it for any other church. There's red lights, why can't you stop that? Another question, why is a police car at the high school every day? Every day there's a police car at the high school parking lot.
Resource officer.
All the schools have school resource officers. Chief Mayor, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that all of the schools have school resource officers for the safety of the children. And I believe also that those school resource officers, I just want to answer that question for you quickly. I also believe that those school resource officers being at those schools help to teach the children that if you have a problem, you can come to us.
Okay.
And also, to a further statement on that, the police department is supplemented by the Concordia Parish School Board to assist Vidalia in having those school resource officers at each of those schools for the protection of the children and to give police visibility to the students.
Well, I know a lot of employees there, they do a good job, but my question is, I thought Joey said we would see them more on the road, and just like this lady here, I don't know her name was, I didn't get her name. I always see them sometimes. And when you do, they're parked somewhere talking to somebody on the side. And I spoke to George before this, right next door. Do not spend your time talking to a friend or another police officer. Patrol our road, protect our older people. protect our citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do not agree with that stopping traffic to let a church out.
Let,
They don't do it for my church.
let me address one of your questions while they take them home, take the vehicles home. If, and this is the thing, for a worst case scenario, and we have to get all hands on deck, I wouldn't want my help that's coming to have to come and clock in and get in a unit and then be dispatched to the emergency.
Okay, I know one officer that took him home, I followed him, he went to Walmart and shot.
I can't answer that part. I can tell
I know
you,
who he is, and Joey probably knows who he is, because I spoke to Joey before about it.
I was just telling you that the concept of letting them take them home was for worst case scenarios.
I mean, don't use my tax dollars to run Walmart on police department's gas.
I was just responding to why
I know
they
what
take the
I'm saying,
vehicles
park
home.
it and don't drive it nowhere else.
Mr. Ainsworth?
Wait, you through,
Yeah, go ahead, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
That's
Burkett, were you
okay,
not
thank
through?
No, that's fine, thank you.
no,
Okay.
if you're not through, we want.
That's fine, we need to get more, I think police department is very important for the town.
But, I was interested in the comment of the lady whose son and, her husband are police officers. I'm wondering, when she mentioned overtime, I wondered whether that was a good thing or a bad thing.
That they cut it, that they don't get paid overtime?
Well, no, I'm just asking, do you consider your husband and son working overtime a good thing or a bad thing?
I'll be honest with you, my husband probably doesn't need to work overtime, we do like the money, but the police officers is a whole different story.
And it is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. But if there is a concern about any department working overtime, you know, you can hire 1.5 personnel for every hour of overtime. You've got to pay a time and a half if they work overtime, and another police officer to be added for each 2 people that have to work a lot of overtime. You know, it's.
Can I take a moment? Do we have any other questions about the police department? And then I'll try to respond to all of the questions. Ms. Wallace?
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't think they do it for first bat. We have like 500 or 600 people on Sundays. That's a traffic jam. I think they do it for the traffic. I mean, it's not for the church, it's for the traffic, to get the traffic.
We was asked, you know, where the church is asked, that's the reason.
Oh,
And I have heard, just in response to that one, I have heard actually several residents in Vidalia complaining about that. I actually made a comment about it myself, and here's how I look at it. While I understand that you were asked to do it, you provided that service, it is a very, very large church community. Catholic, we call them parishes, so I'm trying to learn the vernacular, but there are several outlets from the church. There are several routes that can be taken, and several of the complaints that I did receive about that service that you provided upon being asked is that the stopping of the traffic is blocking access to businesses right there in that area. Because we have a red light, they are stopped, and it is blocking access to some of the businesses. But that is a concern that I have heard from quite a few people. Actually, a couple of them from the Baptist church have even said that. But, again, that was something that was a decision that Chief Merrill made to do that because it was requested.
Does anyone in this room currently, do you go that way a lot, by that red light? You know, that's the longest red light in town, right?
I don't agree with that, Tron.
It's the longest red light.
It seems like market's a long one for the end of the day.
All right, that's MDOT, I mean, LDOT, let's
That's
talk
not
about
ours.
Yeah.
Let's move on from the red light now.
Chief Merrill and I did, bless his heart, he probably got more, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I can explain the situation with the church and blocking traffic. It's just like Friday night football games, okay? You have a large crowd at the football game. You stop traffic so you can get all of the people out of there. It cuts down on auto accidents, okay? If you got a large crowd at the church and you get the people on out of there, get them on their way. It takes a little while to get them out, but it doesn't take that long when you consider maybe having to work traffic accidents. That's what we have to consider there.
I would like to remind everybody, we're here tonight to discuss budget. And I know we're defending our loved ones and all, and this is something, the town hall meetings I'm wanting to have, that I also promise that hopefully we will have very soon. This is the kind of conversations we need in those. Tonight, we're discussing budget. Now, I understand each one's making their case for their loved one or their opinion on, hey, I support the police. That's noted, but as far as us getting into how long the red lights are and stopping things, I think we're getting off task.
Well, this started because you, Mayor, you put the budget up there and you wanted to show everybody how great the work that has been done on the budget. And that opened the door for public comment.
Okay.
And at this point,
I think it needs to continue. I'm kind of liking it myself.
Kind of enjoying it.
I mean, at least
I
we
think
know.
that's what we need to hear from the people.
No, but I do expect you to chair the meeting too.
That's true.
I expect you to chair the meeting.
I think we're getting off task.
Well,
Just don't
you
bring
got the
up
gavel.
weird
You
stuff.
got the gavel if you think it's getting out of hand.
In response to some of the budgetary questions about the police department, somebody else have a comment? I'm sorry.
It's the brain.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, if they have a problem with the helping the church get the traffic out of there and get it clear, maybe they can pay for it, you know? I mean, that may be something that can go into the budget as revenue, you know? They can
Charge
help
the church for that service?
for that service, exactly, or any church, not just that one, just anybody, even the school.
Yes, ma'am.
With the staffing of the police department, if that budget is gonna be cut, that we don't have policemen visible, because right now on Walnut Street, we have more people that we don't know. We've had several break-ins because those strange people are the ones that's causing problems, because they too know the police are not visible. Crime is going up on my street because I can't find my police.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have sort of an odd question, I guess it is. From what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm incorrect, I think I'm hearing from 2, maybe 3 aldermen that you've worked on whatever responsibility of the budget that you had, whatever your part was. So I have a 2-part question. Did you have a directive at the beginning that said, review your budget and if at all possible, cut it by X amount of %?
No,
Or
ma'am.
did you, so you didn't have that, so it was an
Can I answer
independent?
that one first? Can I
I'm
answer
sorry,
that first?
sure.
And by the way,
I think I heard you say, you asked them
the
for a
department
review.
heads that I met with, and the police chief, and all the ones involved, we got them in the room, and they said this is the first time they've ever been asked to come in and go over a budget. It's the very first time. Never have been asked before to be involved. We involved them in the process, all the directors of the different departments, our directors of the convention center, our marketing, or whatever we have, they were all brought in, and we went down line item part. We looked at what our expenditures were for those first 3 or 4 months and really looked hard at what we were spending. And that's how we formulated that. That's how we come up with what we did. But yes, we did spend a lot of time with them. And also, there's things coming. For example, you do have to plan and budget ahead. For example, especially the water department. There's some improvements that are being done now to it, and I don't want to get off of that, but anyway, yes, they were sitting down, and we went line item with the respective, aldermen, with also, and any other one could attend, up as long as we didn't have more than two, to attend these meetings. So, yes, a lot of thought, but we took historical from budgets and audits in the past, and we also took what we spent those first 3 or 4 months and came up with spreadsheets and also a line item on each item. And that's what's presented to you tonight, to where we can operate and we feel like do the things we need to do to keep our town operating and pay our bills.
But ma'am, your question was, did anybody tell us that we needed to go and cut up our department?
No, I believe her question is, were we given, you need to get it down by a certain percentage?
No.
Was that your question?
That was my question.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Okay, and here's part 2 of my question. If I'm understanding what I've read correctly, this is totally unlike anywhere I've ever lived or had an experience before, in that we have a wonderful convention center that's losing tons of money. If I looked at this correctly, it costs more to keep the personnel there than it does the revenue they bring in. Now, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Could you address that?
Yes, I did. A lot of people were concerned that I was going to close it and padlock it. And I cut this past draft, the convention center, I think the total loss was about total was about 1.3 million. Excessive.
That's pretty
Well, with the budget that we're
But that-
presenting, we in the first year, and here's what I want to do. We need to get that to breaking even as close, and we're working toward that this year. I feel like it's going to be somewhere between 350 to 400,000 first year.
We've
So I
got a
almost-
wonderful resource up there. I mean, we just went to that arcade thing the
Well,
other night.
you're-
They're making tons of money, and
you're-
they're in Ferry. We want that to be Vidalia making money.
We had the
They
opportunity to
wanted to
have
bring it
that.
here, but they wanted it for free.
No, they did not.
They were gonna pay, but I
absolutely did
directly
not
talked to the
want
guy,
that
and he
for
said he
free.
was gonna pay, but he didn't wanna pay as much as y'all wanted to charge.
I'm
So
glad
we could've
you
had a
said
little
that.
revenue, he said he didn't wanna pay as much, cause I directly talked to the
How
guy.
much are you going to pay? I can tell
I
you.
don't know, he just said, I didn't know he did that.
$300 for the whole convention center.
300
But you said he didn't wanna pay.
Excuse me for just a minute. There were several questions about the police department that I did not get the opportunity to address, and I would like the moment to address that with.
Let the mayor chair, let him,
He's getting just as derailed as everybody else.
let him chair.
Let me ask one question that you just made a comment. You said they didn't wanna pay, but then
Let
right
the
now
mayor
you said they
check.
wanted to pay $300. Now,
They
which
didn't
is it?
want-
He didn't wanna pay, or
They
he
didn't
wanted to
want
pay
to pay the
$300?
full amount.
But you just said he didn't wanna
I didn't
pay.
give an answer to my question. Very simply,
No,
why
not
are
a
we
good
losing
thing
so
to
much
say.
money
He's gonna
on
pay
that
$300.
wonderful facility?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Alderman Probst was talking.
I just can't understand why we're losing so much money when that is a wonderful facility.
And
I can't get it.
Gail, we feel like we addressed that, and it's gonna take a little bit of time. We've got good people in place. Regina Flynn is doing a wonderful job. They're having a lot of traffic now. We're working together we're also, I don't wanna, I could go in and, again, like you said, well, I would be derailed if I went in. Come by and see me, and I'll be glad to tell you why. And it would be, I can give you the past and where we're going. Because those are things we could need to do. You come see me, we'll sit down. Now, something else I want to let y'all know. There is nothing that you can ask me that I won't answer honestly and openly, okay? I'm not hiding anything. I have nothing to hide, okay? So, but these things, if I go into I'm not going to sit in here and bash the previous management of the convention center
Tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. Put word.
No?
Okay.
I'm saying, I've
Okay.
heard,
Now,
I've asked administration.
Alderman Dorey was requesting more questions from you about the police department.
Thank you.
To answer the questions that were already asked about the police department, Chief Merrill and I met several times and had several phone conversations about his budget. With regards to the not seeing as much patrolling and the statements about not being able to put the mileage on it, Chief Merrill was faced with having to conform his budget to what was proposed, and it has taken some time to do that. One of the things that y'all don't have this one, I'm sorry, but one of the things that's on our spell out, if you will, is an increase in petroleum that is substantial, gasoline, to operate the vehicle.